Welcome to So Long Ago. Today, we're jumping right into, well, a truly remarkable story. It's about the social and artistic journey of Sir John Lavery.
An Irish painter, born 1856, died 1941. His career wasn't just long, it spanned some massive historical shifts.
Exactly. We're talking late Victorian society, the First World War, and even the birth of the Irish Free State. He was right there. And our mission, really, for you listening, is to figure out how he did it. How does an orphan from Belfast end up as this major society painter?
And not just that, but someone so connected, he literally puts his wife's face on the currency of a brand new nation.
It's an amazing arc. And Lavery was so prolific, such a high-profile figure, that we'll be able to show you loads of his work visually alongside this deep dive.
Which is great.
Yeah, and a really helpful thing is so much of his key work is now in the public domain. You can actually find it, download it, study it for free on the Wikimedia Commons website. It's fantastic access.
It really is. And I think what's immediately fascinating about Lavery is just his knack for being there, right at these historical turning points. He wasn't just watching history. He was, painting the people making it.
Often in his own house.
Exactly. His portraits, his wartime scenes, they're almost like a visual who's who of European power and conflict from, say, 1890 right up to 1940.
And his own beginnings make that later success even more, well, incredible. Born in inner north Belfast, 1856.
But tragedy hit early. He was orphaned, sent to live with relatives first in Moira, County Down, then moved to Scotland as a kid, not exactly starting with connections or money.
No safety net at all, so he really had to scrap for his training. He studied at the Haldane Academy in Glasgow in the 1870s.
Right, but the real catalyst for his, let's say, advanced training came from a disaster. He managed to set up his first studio in 1878.
Which must have felt like a huge step.
Absolutely, but then it burned down the next year.
Oh, no.
But get this, the fire led to a £300 insurance payout.
Wow, okay. Back then, that was quite a sum.
A small fortune. And he treated it like, his big chance. He used that money to study for a year at Heatherley School in London.
And then onwards to Paris.
Then on to the Académie Julian in Paris, which was, well, pretty much the place to be if you wanted to be part of the Impressionist or Realist scene in Europe at the time.
So he comes back, but he chooses Glasgow again, gets involved with the Glasgow School.
And this is where you see the first, maybe the most crucial lesson of his career taking shape: finding the right patron.
Okay, let's unpack this.
He caught the eye of William Burrell, a really wealthy ship owner, and importantly, someone deeply committed to supporting Scottish artists. Burrell gave him that stability, that foundation.
And that relationship paid off fast, didn't it?
Oh.
1888, he gets this massive commission.
Huge, painting Queen Victoria's state visit to the Glasgow International Exhibition.
You can't get much bigger than painting the Queen for launching a society portrait career.
Definitely not. That really put him on the map nationally, and he moved to London pretty soon after that.
It seems like his art and his ambition were always tangled up together.
Oh, completely. Look at the portrait Burrell commissioned of his sister, Mary Burrell, around 1896. Lavery himself thought it was one of his best.
Right.
But years later, after he'd married his second wife, Hazel, he actually went back to that painting, altered the face, changed details, and turned it into the red rose portrait of Hazel.
Wait, he painted over his patron sister to put his wife in.
Essentially, yes. He reused the composition for his new muse. It tells you something about his confidence, maybe his ego by that point.
That's quite something. Ghosting your client's sister in paint.
Well, by then he was probably untouchable. And speaking of status, that move to London in the 1890s really cemented things. A big part of that was his friendship with James McNeill Whistler.
Ah, okay. You can see the influence, can't you?
Absolutely. Those society portraits from that time, that use of flat color, the elegant shapes, the sort of moody atmosphere, that's pure Whistler influence.
But then, that elegance gets interrupted by World War I. He gets appointed as an official war artist.
Yeah, along with William Orpen, another major figure.
But there's a twist here, isn't there? A big irony.
A huge irony. He was meant to go to the Western Front, capture the action, but he couldn't. First, he had health issues keeping him back.
Okay.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, he was in a serious car crash during a Zeppelin bombing raid on London.
You couldn't make it up, so the war artist is stuck at home.
Stuck on the home front. So instead of painting trenches, he painted what he could see: boats, planes, airships, the machinery of war back in Britain.
So he carves out this unique niche, really. Different from Orpin's focus on the soldier's experience.
Completely different. And he solidified it by donating quite a few of these works, like the naval paintings from Scapaflow to the Imperial War Museum.
And while the war kept him physically in Britain, it seems like it actually pushed him further into, well, the highest political circles.
Definitely. He was very close to the Asquith family, Prime Minister Asquith's family. He spent a lot of time at their place, Sutton Courtenay, painting portraits, but also lovely, peaceful scenes like summer on the river, even while the war was raging.
This is where you really have to admire his balancing act. Look who he's painting between, say, 1915 and 1920.
Right. You've got Winston Churchill, H. Asquith, Lord Derby, the absolute heart of the British War Cabinet.
But at the same time, he's also painting John Redmond.
Leader of the Irish Nationalists.
And Edward Carson.
Staunch Ulster Unionist leader. Bitterly opposed figures, especially then.
So how does he manage that? Painting people on completely opposite sides of hugely volatile issues. Is he just neutral or just a brilliant operator?
It's a fascinating question. It seems like he positioned himself above the politics as the objective recorder of powerful people, regardless of their side. Strategically neutral, maybe? Which made him valuable to everyone.
And it certainly didn't hurt his career. Knighted in 1918, right after the war. Elected to the Royal Academy in 1921.
His profile was sky high. His work was even included in the art competitions at the Olympics 3 times, 1924, 28, 32.
That's amazing. He even dipped into luxury design.
Yeah, in the late 20s, he was asked to choose the color scheme, that sort of coral blue and silver for the ballroom on the famous ocean liner, the Empress of Britain. He really moved in every circle.
Okay, so to understand the absolute peak of his career, we need to go back to his personal life. Specifically, his second wife.
Hazel Martin. His first wife, Kathleen, sadly died very young back in 1891 from tuberculosis. He married Hazel, who was Irish-American, in 1909.
And she was famously beautiful, very poised.
And became his ultimate muse. You mentioned prolific earlier. Hazel appeared in over 400 of his paintings.
400? That's incredible.
It really is. She's everywhere in his work from that point on, often in these really lavish settings like the painting The Artist's Studio, Lady Lavery with her daughter Alice and stepdaughter Eileen. She wasn't just sitting for him. She was part of his whole social and artistic identity.
And that social side became politically important too, didn't it? During the Irish struggle for independence.
Massively important. During the really intense negotiations for the Anglo-Irish Treaty in 1921, the Laverys actually offered their London home as a sort of neutral meeting place for the Irish negotiators, led by Michael Collins and Arthur Griffith.
So history was literally being made in their drawing room.
Pretty much. And Lavery cemented his role as, the painter of this pivotal moment in Irish history when Michael Collins was assassinated.
Ah, yes. The posthumous portrait.
Michael Collins' Love of Ireland. It's a very moving piece, painted right after the assassination. It really captured the grief of the new state losing its hero.
Okay, but here's where the story takes that final, almost unbelievable turn. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The currency.
The currency. Ireland becomes the Irish Free State. Needs its own money, right? Get rid of the British pounds. They commissioned Sir John Lavery in 1923 to design the new banknotes.
A huge honor, obviously, and a massive responsibility.
And what does he do? The central image on these notes, the Series A notes, was meant to be an allegorical figure of Ireland representing the nation.
Like Hibernia or maybe some figure from mythology, you'd think.
You would think. But no, Lavery used his own wife, Hazel, as the model for Ireland.
It's still quite stunning when you think about it. Her face became the face of Ireland on its money.
From 1928, when the notes first appeared, right up until 1975, nearly 50 years. Think about that. The face circulating in people's pockets representing the nation was the American-born wife of this famous society painter.
It's this incredible meeting point of art, personal life, and national symbolism. It says so much about the trust placed in Lavery. He was seen as acceptable to all sides, Irish by birth, but international, respected, maybe seen as above the internal factions.
Sir John Lavery passed away in 1941. He definitely bridged eras and made his mark. He was generous, too, donating lots of his work later in life.
Yes, significant donations to the Ulster Museum in Belfast and the Hugh Lane Gallery in Dublin. He received honorary degrees, was made a freeman of both Dublin and Belfast, connecting him back to his origins and his adopted nation.
And people are still fascinated by him, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. His legacy is strong. Just recently, there was that big touring exhibition, Lavery on Location.
Right, I saw that was running across Dublin, Belfast, and Edinburgh in 2023 and 2024.
Exactly. Bringing together works from all those different phases of his life, he's still seen as this really vital figure for understanding that whole turbulent period.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about Lavery's life, this incredible journey defined by, let's be honest, very clever positioning. Painting royalty, documenting war machines, walking that tightrope during the Irish Civil War.
Always seeming to land on his feet and in the center of things.
Right. So when you take all that, how does the final act, choosing his wife, his private muse, to be the literal public face on a nation's currency, how does that fundamentally change the way we think about the connection between art, the artist's own life, and the identity of the state itself?
Does it make the state seem more personal? Or does it make the artist's life incredibly public?
Or does it just show how intertwined power, art, and personality have become at that specific moment? That's definitely something worth thinking about.